Yes, it is. Okay, continuing on Mishlei 20, pasuk 9, but also 20, pasuk 8. So let's just refresh our memory about 29, because I think we didn't really finish analyzing it on our own, but then I think we have to go to 28, maybe. So 29 is Mi Yomar Zikisi Libi Taharti Michatasi. Who can say, I have cleansed my heart, I have become purified of my sin? Question. Yeah. So our questions were, what, if anything, is the difference between Zakiti and Taharti? What is state in the context? What is lave in the context? Who's the audience? What is the question of Mi Yomar? Is it who will say this, who can say this, or who will verbalize this? What is the scenario on the practical application? Is it saying that nobody can say this, like Mi Yomar, like it's a rhetorical question, nobody can say that, or is it just saying it's a rarity, like Asian Kyle Mi Yimsa? Or who is saying this? You know, like who is yeah. What's the opposite? Meaning, what would a person be saying instead of this, or why would a person think he could say this? And then how does tshuva fit into the statement of who can say, I purify my heart? Because seemingly you can do tshuva. So what do we have? You had an approach. I forgot what was the fate of that?
We said that we were iffy about it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. We were. I thought it was too specific.
Yeah.
But there were elements that I liked. Yes.
Yeah, I said yes. I think my approach was that a person might say, you know, even though my actions are not great, but like internally I'm pure.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And saying, if that were the case, it would be manifest.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree with the idea, and I still have my reservations about the interpretation. I think was I or someone else saying something about how like maybe Avi, that you can't have this certainty that you've done complete tshuva. There is such a thing as complete tshuva, but you can't be certain that you've actually like purified your heart from the causes of the sin or gotten rid of the effects of the sin. Mm-hmm. I think that's plain shot now that I think about it more. Meaning God can say that, but you can't say that. And that's why like we have all these statements of like, only God can weigh zechuyos and avonos, human beings can't. And like you, and that's why you have like this thing of, actually someone quoted this, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, always viewing yourself as Chatio Zaka and Chatio Chayav, or like viewing yourself as a Benoni. I mean, I know that has to do somewhat with the judgment on Rosh Hashanah, but like in principle, it also is because you can't actually like see yourself objectively,
Go back to Juba.
And I guess who would be saying this?
So according to this, it would be someone who thinks that they can say that. Mm-hmm. And are you asking why would they think that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the practical relevance?
Yeah, so the practical relevance we did say yesterday, which is that if you do say this or you think this, that is what is going to make you prone to making the same mistake again, because you're not going to be on guard. Mm-hmm. And the person who's prone to saying this, I think there could be multiple motives. One could just be like actually thinking that they have actually done full tshuva, or that they've removed the effects, or misjudging how much is conscious, how much is unconscious, or wanting to move past their imperfections, and like to just not think about them, and there is a place for that. Like that's the whole. I forgot if we talked about kapara in the beginning of the year, but that's like my whole theory of kapara, of like based on the Rambam and the Rabag, of like when you do tshuva, there is an important process of like feeling that the sin has been removed, but that's more in terms of like being tainted by it in a way that could lead you to do it again. And I don't know how to reconcile that with what I'm saying now, meaning that like, on the one hand, all institutions of a kapara are designed to make you have that feeling that I have removed myself of this, and like you put it on the seer Mishlei and it goes off, and is shredded. But if you think to yourself like, oh yeah, I'm past this, that's what makes you prone to it again. So like there's this like paradox of like what mentality you're supposed to have, and I don't know how to reconcile that. Like that whole point of Yom Kippur, like we literally are doing all hates on all the stuff and like repeating our vidui on stuff that we did in the past. But Mimanavshach, like, did you get rid of it or not? So like, You know, I mean, maybe okay, maybe this is I think I have an answer.
I think
Yeah, go ahead. You go first.
I mean, it could be that what you're doing on Yom Kippur is like removing guilt that you might have, which is gonna hold you back from moving forward. But there still is a recognition that you're not perfect. You still have development that you have to do.
Right.
But it's just not accompanied by guilt.
Yeah, so I have an idea also that I don't know if is another way of saying what you're saying or if it's a different idea, that there is the particular fate. Maybe this doesn't even work out at all. Maybe it's neither. I was going to say there's the particular fate and the feelings of guilt associated with that. But then there's the tendencies that are part of human nature that led to the fate, you know. And I think I'm thinking this because I think that's what my shot is on Vidu and Yom Kippur in general, is that it's on the aspects of human nature that lead you to do fate. You know, that's opposed to Vidu throughout the rest of the year. Vidu, I wrote a whole thing on this, right, about the mitzvah of Vidui and then Vidu Yom Kippurim. Mitzvah of Vidui is a completion of the tshuva process on a particular fate. And then Vidu Yom Kippurim is a recognition of human nature that makes you prone to this. So I thought initially that it was what you were saying, or that there was an aspect of what you were saying, because guilt is tied to the particulars, not to the fact that you have a psyche or the fact that you have like a Yitzhahara, you know?
I mean, it could be tied to just like feeling like you're worthless, kind of like not in a like upper-race kind of way, but like like a, you know.
Is that guilt, or is that like a different thing?
Maybe a different thing. Yeah, I think it comes from the same place of like feeling like you're inadequate or something.
Yeah. So I associate that more, and this might just be my association. I'm not saying this is still good, but like that I feel like is more associated to shame than guilt. Shame being feelings about who you are, whereas guilt is about what you've done.
Okay.
And I think that definition is not the entirety of it, but like I feel like that is like however you want to express those in whatever words you want. Those are two different feelings. Like, you know, like this is like, I can't believe I am this kind of person, versus like I did this action and I feel remorse or guilt about this action. I feel, and this obviously can coincide. Like you can get triggered into shame from guilt, but yeah. So did we answer anything?
I think that's the explanation for this.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's complement it with one of the Mefarshim, who again, I didn't look at the Mefarshim thoroughly because I wanted to wait till Shir, but I did see the Ri Nachmias. We've maybe not done. We have? Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I know, because I mentioned that his whole thing is he borrows heavily from Rabbeinu Yonah. So many times you'll find it verbatim, but yeah, so Tess 29. Right, so there's no man who is so righteous on earth who does good and doesn't sin. So that's Koheles. Right? You can't be a perfect tzaddik. That already seems to be a different idea, right? So what's his? I mean, just pause for 1 second and.
Meaning, well, we're saying you can't know. You can't think of yourself honestly.
Yeah, one thing is we're saying you can't know.
He's saying you aren't. Like you are. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and he's saying also that this is like, meaning I think we're putting it more in terms, maybe just now because we were talking about like tshuva and stuff, but removing imperfections, whether you call that tshuva or not. He's saying like it's impossible to go through life and not make any mistakes. So that seems to be two different ideas, you know. That, and he is saying it absolutely, meaning, I mean, we were saying absolutely also, but he's saying like no man can be without sin. And
we're saying it's more like I had flaws, but I feel like I got rid of them.
Yeah, right. And I think that maybe the fact that we started off on the premise that, or at least today, or me, or whatever, start off on the premise that we're talking about removal of flaws, as opposed to like ruining your track record, so to speak, you know, like I was a tzaddik and then I sinned, you know. Those are, I feel like, two different starting points. Yeah.
I think the Kisi sounds like, that's to me, like it was something that was there and then you were exonerated from.
Yeah, what did the Targum say? I forgot.
Zakai.
Zakai, yeah, that's ambiguous, because that just, well, Zakai is also, that's interesting. You know what? Okay. Zakai who? I don't think I noticed this yesterday. You know what Aramaic Zakai who is?
I'm like, it's topic.
Yeah, Zakai is the translation of tzaddik. So who can say that he is a tzaddik? That's how he translates it. So Ri Nachmias seems to be going according to that. Not zikisi as a verb. I just totally didn't notice that yesterday. That is.
Easy as an adjective.
This is so this well zikisi we're reading it zikisi as a verb,
Yeah.
and he's learning it as a noun
Oh, I see.
right? Who can say that he is a tzaddik? Because we did note the who de yemar zakai who, right? Who can say that he is a tzaddik? Oh no, sorry, he adds the word libi also, or he has the word libi. Man de yemar zakai hu libi. Oh, it's not. Yeah, right. He's saying it as adjective, but he is saying tzaddik though. I think. Yeah. Anyway, going on with the. Were you gonna say something? No. Yeah.
What's your usual translation of clean?
So saint means missing a mark or missing the target, and it's usually for unintentional sin or mistake. Yeah. Okay, V'chein Eov Omer, so Eov said, Uma yitzdak enosh im kel, Uma yitzke yilod isha. What can man justify or be aligned with justice with regarding God? And with what can a woman born be meritorious? Same idea. Some of the matters is afilu im yase adam kol mitzvos, even if a person does all the mitzvos. Lo yedme ba'asmo shu tzaddik. You should not imagine that he is a tzaddik. Im yedme kain, if he imagines this, eno misorer lahosif. That's also interesting. He will not be aroused to add or increase. Va'al zeh amru zal le'olam yidon adam atmo mechatza zaka mechatza chayev. Person should always judge himself to be half meritorious and half liable. That's different than what I was saying. I was saying you can't know.
Right.
He's saying it doesn't matter whether you could know. What?
He's saying like tell yourself that.
Yeah, tell yourself that. Yeah, it's like it's going to be the most productive mentality to be in.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say that that's included in what I'm saying, but I'm saying that like what I'm saying based on the Rambam is like a reality, like you can't know,
But he would say even if you could know.
He's saying if you could know, yeah.
Weird.
Right. He's saying that Moshe Rabbeinu should say this.
Right. Which like how do you lie to yourself?
I mean, I know some people who can convince themselves that they took an Adderall.
Yeah. But,
like I mean.
Right.
Well, you don't always know if your self-assessment is.
But that's what the Rambam's saying. That's not what he's saying.
Yeah.
Right. We're saying like if you're Moshe Rabbeinu and God's talking to you upon him, he should still do this. So he adds more, or maybe I mean you could say it doesn't apply to Moshe Rabbeinu. You could say but like. But in principle, but it is different than the Rambam saying. The Rambam saying only God knows, and he's saying the reason why you should do this is not because it's true, but because it's useful. Like you want to use the Rambam's distinction in the morning book about like truths and like useful truths. Yeah. He's saying it's useful truth.
Right.
I don't know what you're going to do.
I think it's in the Tamei Mitzvos about mitzvos that have to do with beliefs. So he says, for example, certain beliefs the Torah commands us in, like Yichud Hashem or Bria Yesh Me'ayin, because they are true, and like knowing them is perfection. Other beliefs the Torah encourages us to believe in because they are useful. For example, the belief that God gets angry at the people who sin will help preserve societal order. So God doesn't actually get angry, but like the Torah has us believe in it. So I think that's a distinction. I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a distinction that the Rambam got from elsewhere. Like I feel like it's a very like either a Plato thing. I was initially going to say Machiavellian, and I was like, he can't have been the first one who said that, Yeah. What must you say? Yeah.
It's like an Abel's thoughts.
Yeah.
Hold on. I guess this would apply to not just mitzvah pharaohs, right? It would apply to like flame.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Even in craft, like in your profession or in your livelihood, anything you're working at. Yeah. Although I don't know if I would express it in terms of zuchus and chait,
Yeah.
you know.
Sure.
But the chet yozach and chet yochayev and the misorder lahosif, k'dei lahosif is definitely applicable. Yeah. So does this answer? So who's this talking to? This is talking to everybody. And what's the purpose is so you don't become like complacent and satisfied with your level, you know.
You can only be concerned with losing the good, not with losing good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, did you see, by the way? Yeah, I know. All right. Okay. So what do we want to do now? Do we want to look at the ones who take it together? Sorry, at 20, pasuk 8 and 9 together? Or is there more to say on this Ri Nachmias? Like,
No, yeah.
okay, let's do that because I kind of feel like I want to move on tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at the Meiri, who I have not read yet. I read enough to just see that he puts them together. So so let's review 28. It says Melech Yoshev Akisei Din Mizarev Einav Kol Ra. The king sits on the throne of judgment. He scatters in his eyes all evil. Oh, by the way, when we read this Monday or maybe, and we were saying it reminds us of Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, I was trying to remember where do we say Melech Yoshev Al Kisei Din, and I was trying to like get the melodies, and I was like, we don't say that. We say Al Kisei Rachamim, and that's why like I was I was like something was off about it. Kel Melech Yoshev Al Kisei Rachamim Mishnah B'Chasidus. No, yeah, and I was like, so yeah. All right, but I'm sure maybe we take Kisei Din at some point, but
we're like specifically asking for Rachamim.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the Meiri says Melech Yoshev Akisei Din Mizarav Einav Kol Ra and Mi Yomar Zi Kisi Libi Tardi Michadasi. Yeah, it's only you got where it is. Hanigle He'arla Malachim. The revealed external meaning is that it's advice for the kings. Lihios Kavanasam Lahatziv Lariv Amim. That they should have the intention to set up Lariv Amim, a dispute or a judgment for peoples. I don't know. This is Lakachat Mehem Nikmas Ha'ulos Haraos K'dei Levayer Hara. To take vengeance from them, I think not vengeance like revenge, but like enact retribution for evil actions in order to annihilate the evil.
Maybe Riv Amim is like for the situation of Riv Amim.
So that's one possibility, or it could also be like Hashem Yariv Rivam, like he will take up the cause of the people, like to settle the quarrels for the people. Laharthik hagazelos v'hachamasim, to distance the thefts and robberies, yeah, ushar mini haraz, and all the other types of evil. So in other words, it's urging kings to enact justice. Valzeh Amar, regarding this, it says Shamelech Hayoshev Al Kisei Din, that the king who sits on the throne of judgment, Rachalam Shekvanata Lahamadas Hayosher, Ulaharchi Kol Evil. Okay, yeah, I saw something in Rabbeinu Yonah when I was looking through before. On yesterday's pasuk, that his intent. So it says, in other words, it's only the king who sits on the throne of judgment. I think we made this point when we were first reading it, that it's talking about a specific king.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the possibilities we threw out.
Okay.
That it's not just any king; it's the king who is sitting on the throne of judgment, which means it's a king who actually wants to do justice. That's what he says. As is befitting for the protocol of kings. Who Mazare, he scatters. Mafazer and Mavire Kol Ra. So he's learning it not as scattering out of sight, but like scattering to get rid of all evil. So be'enav is not in his eyes, but from his eyes. Meaning from before him, which sounds like he's saying from before him means like the entire kingdom, right? Like the Simba, everything that the light touches is like that kind of a thing. Klomar kishakol kach yamid kol anashim biyosher shakol davar ra yivuar mikol machusa, meaning that he sets up everyone so well in Yosher that all Ra is eliminated from his kingdom. Utatzer nafsho b'amal Yisrael. Okay, fine. V'hanosar b'basar uvalachem. Okay, fine. So bli od lefarish be'inav klomar b'hashgachata, meaning under his jurisdiction. K'derech ba'asima ini alav. I will place my eyes on him. Okay, so far it sounds like a very basic idea. I don't know what the chiddush is. If you're a king and you care about justice, get rid of all evil. So I guess that is this thought that like you could maybe like not get rid of all evil and things will be fine. You know, like maybe if I get rid of the main things, then like I don't need to get rid of all evil. And like examples of this, any examples come up with kings and not getting rid of all evil? I can think 2/a
You think of the Malachi Yisrael?
No, they didn't even bother to get rid of evil.
Yeah,
Malchi Yehuda? Yeah, I'm thinking of the Malchi Yehuda.
Yeah, I remember there's. I always forget which kings.
Yeah.
Or which, but the king who destroyed all the Avodah Zarah, but didn't get rid of the Avodah Zarah that they had on like their door handles behind. Like,
Okay, so that's Chizkiyahu. Yeah, I was thinking of something different. That's a good example also. But the Bamos, like so many of the kings who were either good or super good in the Malchi Yehuda, it says, and they got rid of all the Avodah Zarah except the Bamos, you know. And I think it's a machlokes whether the Bamos were Bamos for Avodah Zarah or Bamos for Hashem. So like maybe not everyone holds this, but like even if they're Bamos for Hashem, that's also wrong, you know. But like they did so much, but they just didn't get rid of like the Bamos, and like that ends up causing trouble, you know. Yeah. And then the other example of the king, I think the easier one, who didn't fully finish the job. Shaul, yeah, right, yeah, you know, and that's like an example of how you can like not finish. That's an idiot. That's an American proverb. One rotten apple spoils the yeah. I didn't know what the word was. The bunch.
Yeah.
The bat. You said batch. I was gonna say bushel. The pot.
The pot.
Oh, the pot. Yeah, I think it's talking about how if you have rotten fruit, it spreads, right? I mean, I don't know how that works biologically, but like if you, this happens to me with tomatoes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it spreads or makes things disgusting. I mean, it might be some spreads. I if you're saying it happens by tomatoes, then
yeah,
it might just be that.
I think so. Yeah. Certainly happens with oranges. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's so long since I've had an orange.
Yeah. I think it's one bad apple spoils a bunch. Bad, not rotten.
Bad apple, yeah, right. Yeah, because that's what people say, you're bad apple, you know, like yeah, you know, say you're a rotten apple.
Rotten tomato.
Rotten tomato, yeah. Great website, yeah. Yeah. So is that the idea according to Meiri, it sounds like that, or that's who the audience is? It's a king who is trying to enact righteousness and saying you have to finish the job, because otherwise it could be, I mean, he doesn't spell out otherwise what will happen, but I think it's reasonable to assume that like it'll affect other things, or the bad thing will like rise up and come back, you know, in a way that's like, you know, like let's say in Shaul example, right? I mean, I know that this not clear that this is literal, but like Haman Ha'agagi came from Agag, you know, so like it wasn't Agag who created more problems directly. It was the fact that he was alive and that his legacy was perpetuated. Yeah.
It seems like it's that the king has to act. The tradition is that the king has to actively be trying to set this up.
Yes, right.
Yeah. It's not just that he has to try to do justice. It's that, you know, he's it's not enough for the king to just, you know, sit and wait for prisoners to be brought to him.
Right. That is true, but it sounds like the way he's reading the pasuk is it's talking already to a king who is setting this up and saying, when you set it up, you have to be sure to like get rid of all the ra, because that's the Sheh Hamelach Hayoshev al Kisei Din, Sheh Kavanaso Lahamadas Hayoshev Lahakikol Evil, Kasher Yeos Lachokim Lachim. You know, that's the audience is talking to.
Is it possibly saying that this is the best thing for the king to do, but the audience is like a regular person who like watch out, if he's a good king who's actually sitting on the throne of like judgment, he's gonna, you know, get all the bad stuff.
I think that's a fine interpretation of the pasuk, but not of the Meiri, because the Meiri says specifically it's 4 kings. Right? Yeah, but it's definitely true. Yeah, although, you know, it's funny though, according to the way you're saying it, is like, so like it's talking to someone who is Ra, and saying like, watch out, he's gonna get you. Like, it is weird advice if it were saying that to people, Okay, let's see what he says for the next one. But Amar al Zeh, and it says regarding this, Mi Yomar Zikisi Libi. Oh, maybe this is for the guy. We'll see. Klomar, Shemikoka Melech, Hios Maskil, Pikeach, Venavon, Lahakir, Inyani B'nei Adam. So it is of the, when he says Koka Melech, again, I don't think he means the law. I think he means like what ought to be expected of a king is that he is intelligent, clever, and understanding to be able to recognize human affairs. Umihu shiyuchal ramoto, who can deceive him? Lahachzik atmo karoi, whatever that means. La'avodaso v'neman bebrisa, to strengthen himself properly, or to establish probably like chazaka, probably to establish himself properly for his service, and to be trustworthy in his covenant. To the point where he displays himself as already purifying his soul from all degrading things. And pure from all deficiency and faith. That's what you were saying. Because fake piety, I think that's hischastus, right? Is making yourself seem pious, and with falsity of heart, it is impossible that it will not be revealed at some point, right? That's the Abraham Lincoln, Rav Avram. You can fool some people some of the time, but not all people all the time.
Right. We had a pasuk like that.
Yeah. I also forgot. It was much more than a year. Yeah. Yeah. So he's saying. So this does seem like it's for. It's weird, right? It's for the person, the king subject, right? Saying like you bet, and this answers the question I was saying on your thing, which is it's saying you better get your act together because you're not gonna be able to trick the king, especially if he's a good king.
Right.
Yeah.
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 It could also be
He's gonna try to like root out, like since his goal is to root out evil, he's going to look for like he's gonna try to find the evil that are like hidden also.
Yeah. Right.
It could be. This isn't what the Meiri is saying, but another way to tie it in slightly differently is that not that you might want to hide from the king, but that you might think like, oh, the king doesn't have any reason to get me. Like I'm good.
That's also true, right?
I haven't like transgressed him.
Right.
I like just be aware that like we've had something like that.
Yeah.
So like the king isn't always being totally rational about what he thinks about you.
Yeah.
And so you have to just like be extra cautious that like maybe you did something to transgress his honor.
That's a good application of, I think it was Isaiah's idea yesterday about the indiscriminate obliteration of evil. It's a different application than what we were saying yesterday, but like, anything that the king deems to be evil, he'll annihilate.
Right.
I was also going to mention, not as an example of a king doing this based on seichel, but an example of the type of scrutiny you have to have about your actions is like you see nowadays, it seems to happen all the time, is people will dig up tweets from like 10 years ago to like get people in trouble, either rightly or wrongly, like, or like find some obscure document that they did that was like wrong, that the person had like moved away from, in their mind. And like, if you've got someone who's seeking out all like elements of Ra, they're going to find it, and that is, what do you call it? There's a pasuk in Tehillim, I don't know the context, I've just heard Rebbe quoted, Avon akeva yisubeni, the sin of my heel like caught up to me. Like that you have to be careful with the sins of your heels, meaning the sins that you did casually without like thinking too much about it and just let you move on, and like that could come up to catch you. Like you accidentally like that's the I think I've seen someone say this, Mishlei and Pirkei Avos. Don't despise any person and don't degrade anything.
Oh, I was just reading this.
Oh yeah.
Actually.
You know what parak it's in?
I think the fourth.
Sounds about right. Yeah. So I think it's been a long time since I learned that. I think that's one of the ideas there is like, you have to be careful with all things that you make mistakes with and all people. That is reminding me that I have to leave now.
What happens if I watch?
This is also reminding me I have to meet with Sean Slimowitz, and so that's why if I did the watch, it would make me think that I just have to leave, and I would forget about the meeting with Sean, and this is reminding me of it both. And that's
Nice.
apparently me forgetting that I also see. I set the alarm because I would forget, and I forgot about the alarm.
Nice.
So I set this alarm. There you go. But I was gonna say that I think that's the idea that if you end up making a mistake about something and you're like, it's not gonna matter, or you slight somebody and you're like they'll get over it, and you don't actually bother to like check it out, then that could like catch up to you. So certainly with the king. I'll just mention before we leave, I do want to go into the next pasuk tomorrow, but if you're interested, and I haven't read it yet, I just saw it when I was like looking for whether to do the commentaries. Meiri's derech nister and Ralbag take the melech as the seichel.
Ah,
So
nice.
yeah, all right, let's